Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of BMP Associates Community Affairs Podcast. My name is Tracy. I'm a legal associate at BMP Associates, and I'm going to be the host of this episode. This is going to be a special episode. It's not only the 10th episode of our second season, but it's an anniversary episode. BMP Associates is 10 years old. And who better for a special anniversary episode than our founder and managing partner, Mrs. Adelaide Benneh Prempeh. This episode's topic is 10 years of impact, leadership, legacy, and empowerment. And in this episode, Mrs. Benneh Prempeh is going to give us a little bit of insight into her early legal career, the birth and growth of BMP Associates, and what 10 years might look like for the firm. So without further ado, welcome, Mrs. Benneh Prempeh.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm totally delighted to be here on this very special occasion, and I'm looking forward to an exciting chat with you.
You were a lot of things. You were a lawyer, you were a lecturer, you were a board member, you were a lot. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your educational background?
It's always good when I get the opportunity to go back in time. I am one of 6 children, born to parents who instilled values of integrity, honesty, and giving back to society. If I should sum up what my parents are like, my father of blessed memory was a lecturer. My mother worked with the central bank for her entire career. I grew up with a heightened sense of responsibility because of the way my parents conducted themselves in their work and also the community that we lived. I was born and bred on University of Ghana campus. Very early on, I have to say that I was incredibly fortunate to be born to parents that allowed me to speak up. I was number 5 of 6, but I was the loudest in the house. And I practiced with my parents. I practiced advocacy with my parents because I was able to make a case and sell an idea to them, and they would listen to it all and not shoot me down. So I grew up with that frame of mind of speaking up, especially for those who are marginalized and those who needed that support. I'm a proud product of Wesley Girls High School, a school which I'm sure you're aware of, a school that formulated that mindset of leadership from a very early age for young women. And I completed my A-level, which is the ancient A-level, at Ashimoto School. I then went off to the vibrant city of Manchester in the United Kingdom to do my undergrad studies, my LLB. And then I concluded at the Inns of Court School of Law in London, where I did my bar vocational course. So that in a nutshell is my educational background.
So you mentioned that you were quite vocal growing up and you practiced your advocacy with your parents. But did you always want to be a lawyer, or was there a certain event or a person who inspired your decision to be a lawyer?
I mean, I always say that I was incredibly fortunate to be brought up on a university campus because unlike others who grew up and later found out about tertiary education and found out about the various types of professions, I was surrounded by various departments and various disciplines. So I grew up on a campus that allowed me to explore. So I knew about disciplines in medicine, engineering, and of course law. And I found out earlier on what a lawyer does. And I thought, this is quite exciting. Speaking for a living, that's right up my alley. So that was at the very beginning of my curiosity in respect of the legal profession. And of course, later on, it got formalized when I went to school. I think the greatest insight for me was when I did my law degree and I realized the intellectual stimulation that law brings. I think that excited me a great deal, the ability to analyze and critically assess issues and to be exposed to what the greats had done in the judiciary. That for me was the turning point. And then it became a little bit more formalized, seeking internships, trying to figure out what legal practice really entails. So it was a gradual journey that started from home and ended me in this profession.
That's very interesting. So you mentioned that you were called to the British Bar, and that was in 2001.
Yes.
And then you came to Ghana to do your post-call in 2012. So what prompted your decision to establish BMP Associates?
Okay, so let me take you back to 2001. When I qualified at the English bar, I was what we call an independent practicing barrister. And what essentially is that you join a set of chambers. You're all self-employed. You form the chambers together and then you employ administrative staff, what we used to call clerks. And the clerks go out and bring out work. It's very traditional, bring out work for us to do. So it was a career path which relied on one's self-motivation. Being a very self-motivated individual, I have to say, I loved that. It gave me that extra competition amongst my peers to do the best briefs, to do the best work. So I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was fantastic. But in 2012, we decided to come back home. My husband and I, we had 2 young children at the time. And I had this yearning, we both had this yearning that having got the best of England, having got the best of education and professions and what have you, it was time to go home. And when I was coming home, I didn't really have a set plan. But I had a purpose, and my purpose was to come back home, not in a sort of condescending way, but to come back home and impact positively, do something different, impart the knowledge and the skill sets that I've acquired elsewhere. So when I came back, I thought of creating a unique law firm. Now that is interesting because obviously I was a woman. It wasn't very common for women leaders of law firms at the time. I was new, considering that I left when I was 19. But I think that burning desire was greater. If you ask me if I would set a law firm up now, perhaps I would not be as confident now that I'm now very much aware of what it entails and what I was getting myself to. But at the time, I was very confident that I could build something different. And it wasn't so much building a law firm that, had solid foundation of legal excellence and quality work. It was building a law firm with extra, impacting society, doing things that involved a legacy of impact and empowerment, and also ensuring that as I paved the way, I brought others along with me, young, talented lawyers along with me who are good at what they do, but have that social consciousness. So that was basically the foundations of BMP Associates.
So when you started your career in 2001 in the UK and even coming to Ghana in 2012, I think there weren't that many female lawyers. And as the years are going by, more and more women are entering the legal profession. But what are some of the challenges you faced as a woman in law, which is predominantly male?
Okay, so I think I have to start answering that question by saying that by way of background, I am a product of strong male allies. Interesting enough, my sibling group, we are 6 in number. We are 3 boys, 3 girls. At home, my parents were very gender neutral in the way they pushed us. And in fact, if I should look back to my childhood, my dad pushed the girls a lot more and allowed us to develop, allowed us to explore. Decisions were not made for us, they were made with us. So it was a process rather than an imposition. I don't think that either of us was ever told that you are going to do this profession or you're going to do this, you're going to study this discipline. We all sort of talked about it openly, and then decisions were made, and then our parents gave us the nod. So that was a starting point. I grew up in that solid setting, which instilled confidence at a very young age, and therefore, when I developed as a lawyer, I never thought I was hindered because I was a woman. On the contrary, my parents made me feel like I could do anything. So that for me was incredibly helpful because it established me as that sort of solid personality that I grew up to become. Yes, there are challenges. I mean, as a woman, it is typical that more often than not, your expertise is questioned by virtue of the fact that you're a woman. Your leadership skills are questioned. That's one. Secondly, one is constantly balancing professional expectations against social expectations, what a woman should be doing rather than what you want to do. So that's something that also comes up time and time again. And of course, your own work-life balance. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I have 3 children. It may not look like it, but I constantly have to juggle. Do I let that hinder me? I would say no. I think the starting point is a mindset. If you're going to embark on a journey like we do as lawyers, you've got to have a positive mindset. You've got to have that frame of mind, first of all, believing that you're good enough, making sure that you are very good at what you are selected to do. So that means knowledge, skill set, acquiring knowledge and skill set, reading around subjects, making sure that you are the expert as you can be, so that when you're called upon, you deliver. You also have to make sure that you surround yourself with positive people. One cannot underestimate the importance of network and a strong, positive group of people who champion you and push you forward. You can decide to formalize it by mentorship, male mentors or female mentors. I definitely benefited from that. And I think that all in all, once you're able to prove yourself, opportunities open and doors open. But you can't be the damsel in distress and say that, oh, as a woman, we're so hard done by. There's no time for that. You need to prove yourself. You need to make sure your content speaks for yourself and people start taking you seriously.
That's very educative. So, looking back, or should I say, looking at society right now, law is a reflection of the society we live in. And our society is constantly evolving. I'm sure 10 years ago when you started BMP, the practice areas have evolved in some way than they are right now. Could you tell us a little bit about that evolution?
I have to say that's a great question because you allow me to go down memory lane. So BMP started with the fundamentals. We were set up as a corporate commercial law firm, and we practiced the traditional areas of law, business, employment, corporate governance, and the like. But in time, with the occurrences of very important critical events like COVID pandemic and the surge of technology, we've had to adapt our offerings to ensure that our clients are well looked after. Of course, there's now technology and data everywhere you turn. We then sort of evolved and started looking at areas like technology, looking at intellectual property rights. When we look at data, we had to start looking at bearing in mind the consciousness of sustainability in the world we live in now. We had to look at new emerging areas like, focused on ESG. We've been looking at carbon credits. So now our offerings have expanded based on what has been happening the world over. And I think we're richer for it.
So you mentioned that you were an extremely self-motivated person. But for people like me who are motivated, but sometimes we need a little bit of a push. Can you give us a little bit of an idea about what continues to motivate you in a competitive environment like your legal profession?
I think you're motivated, Tracey, if you ask me. Maybe you hide it well. So one thing that drives me forward is, firstly, I'll say the importance of my mission. And I know it sounds dramatic. I grew up with a saying from my parents that to whom much is given, much is expected. I don't take my position lightly. Yes, I'm a founder of a law firm, but it's more about the legacy and what I impart. And when I look around me and what we've been able to create as a team, it inspires me. The fact that we are now established, the fact that we are providing clients with quality services, the fact that clients are always coming back to say that they are happy with their results or we help them solve problems, I think that's a huge motivation factor. Secondly, the team that we've created at BMP Associates, I think lawyers like you inspire me greatly because I come to work and I feed off the energy that the team has, the dedication, the commitment to work, the innovation and the creativity that the team churns out day in, day out, for me is a huge inspiration. I literally get out of bed for that because I know that when I sell an idea, everybody's up for it. So that is a huge motivation. And also, I would say the clients, the feedback that the clients come back with, unsolicited, the one-liners that we receive to say, thank you so much, or I've enjoyed working with the team, you were so engaged, the entire process, I felt like I was not alone. That for me is something that I'm hugely motivated by, because at the end of the day, we're providing a service. We can talk all we want. If the client is not happy, we have not delivered. And there's a wider motivation factor for me. As I said earlier, I was, in the minority as a female law firm founder. And when I look around me, there are so many capable young women, but for one reason or the other, they are not projected and they are not being given the opportunity they deserve. So I want to be some kind of benchmark for somebody sitting there thinking, is it possible? Yes, it is. And not necessarily setting up a law firm, but being the best version of yourself, being an expert, being the go-to person, also paving the way for somebody else. And I mean, that's bigger than myself. And I think for me, underlying all of this, why BMP is where it is because we create that environment to nurture talent, to develop talent, to give everybody a voice and to give everybody the opportunity to shine. And so for me, if that is something that is the legacy of BMP, then my job is done.
It's fantastic. So this is a special question for me. You have over 20 years of experience at the bar. I'm barely a year at the bar. And this is me. I have the opportunity to come to your office, but I think a lot of people would benefit from this question. Is there any advice you'd like to give to young lawyers who are starting out? When we feel overwhelmed, when we feel like, are we going to succeed at this? At least you have 20 years. So you can tell us something to help us guide our path.
Okay. Now, this is a question that is actually very close to my heart because I get asked about it constantly in different settings, students, when I'm interviewing and all that. So for me, the starting point of this journey, and that I'll say time and time again, that the legal profession is a journey, it's not a sprint. I think the younger generation impose a lot of stress and pressure on themselves that they need to get from 1 to 100 without living it. And it almost takes out the joy in going through the hoops and the different stages in a profession. So the first thing I'll say is have a growth mindset. You are growing, you're learning. Do not be afraid to fail. Failure is not negative, it's an opportunity to learn. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move on. If you're being criticized for failure and it's not constructive criticism, then that isn't right. You shouldn't find yourself in that position. So take it from me. If you're not getting positive feedback, I will tell you freely that it's a process. We all learned from somewhere. We did not just start up and become accomplished. We are all trying to be accomplished. In fact, we're all still on this journey. So that's the first thing, growth mindset. So always have a positive perspective on when failure occurs, because it will occur. Secondly, I'll say be curious. Yes, as lawyers, we are trained to have our heads buried in case law and different legal articles. But you have to remember that as a lawyer, you're providing a service. So you can't operate within that narrow mindset that so long as I can quote the law, I'm fantastic. Well, the client doesn't want that. The client wants solutions. So when I say be curious, pick up material at large, read about industry trends, what is happening in the market, technology, AI, and then that will allow you to evolve from a legal advisor to a trusted advisor. You find your clients calling you about something else because they trust your intuition, they trust what you will say. So be curious. The next thing that I think is incredibly important that you can't be taught in school is networking. Do not underestimate the importance of networking. Yes, you have your school friends, but widen that bracket. I'm not talking about actively seeking 1 or 2 people and saying, you're my mentor, it's done. There's an opportunity of a seminar, a workshop, even if you think you'll not enjoy it, You don't know who you meet there. The person you might meet there might not open doors for you, but the person you met there might introduce you to somebody who will open doors for you. At the end of the day, if you don't do that, you're selling yourself short. If you're incredibly bright, who knows about it till you talk about it? Are you just going to wait and talk about it in interviews? No. So network, meet people, keep an open mind. It's very, very important. And also stay current. We are surrounded by artificial intelligence. We are surrounded by carbon credits, ESG, blockchain, and the like. Are you going to bury your head in the sand and say, no, this is not law, so I'm done? You'll become extinct. So keep an open mind, read wide, stay curious. And then this is something that I'm still working on. Self-care. Self-care, very, very critical in our line of work. The legal profession is intense. You need to find something that takes you away from it. You need to find something that creates downtime for you. Whether you're exercising, whether you are walking around in nature, in the forest, whether you're doing yoga, there has to be time away from the profession so that you come back fresh, with a fresh mindset, and it also assists with your productivity. So self-care is something that we all don't do well at, but it's something that we should absolutely hold dear to our hearts, to have that balance.
I have to get a little bit better at my self-care.
We all do.
Listening to you, you realize that clients are very important to you. Mm-hmm. And I know from experience working here that a lot of our clients also appreciate our work. Can you identify what values you think clients love the most about their relationship with BMP?
Okay, so a client relationship is premised on trust. If you have a relationship, it's based on trust, right? So clients want to trust you. And how are you going to earn their trust? You've got to be open with them. You've got to be transparent with them. You've got to be prepared to tell them bad news when it's bad news. You've got to be prepared to walk the process with them. Not say all the good things at the beginning of your relationship, and then when they call you, you're not picking up your phone. You are, AWOL. Trust is important. Trust for them to know they can rely on you at the drop of a hat. If things are not going well, they can engage you, and you'll be honest and open with them. I'll say communication is key. Sometimes lawyers fall foul of that. They send an email, they are not responding. They call, he or she is not available. They feel let down. So I think that's something that we've prioritized. Clear communication, instant communication, responsive. It's something that clients are very keen on, and I think that has served us well in that regard. And also expertise, thorough quality product. Making sure no stones are left unturned, making sure that you deliver, you are thorough, making sure you've looked at the pros and cons, anticipating sometimes the risks before it occurs. Let them feel and let them know that this is value for money. We are not robots. We are adding that extra. We are making sure that you are well looked after. And I think one thing that has caught on very well with clients, which I didn't expect, is our community service drive, corporate social responsibility. I think that whenever we've done fundraisers and the like, clients have jumped in and have been very supported and have appreciated that platform. So I think that it goes to show that we're all human and we're all trying to do good. We're all trying to impact others. And when clients see that you're doing that, they are very keen to join in that initiative and support. So for me, those are the fundamental principles that I always go back to when we're dealing with our clients.
For easy communication, technology is such an important aspect. And technology has changed over the years. How does the firm embrace technology? And how do you think it will continue to transform legal practice in the next 10 years?
I mean, technology has taken all of us by storm. It's occurring even as we sit here. And I think that for us at BMP Associates, we figured that out very early, that we needed to have invested in technology to be more efficient in our client service delivery. So we're always chipping away, coming up with different products to make sure that technology is seamless and it's efficient. And I think, a number of clients have actually commented in particular to the fact that we are technology driven. It makes management of their cases very seamless. But we're not stopping there because the world is evolving. I mean, if I think of technology, I think of artificial intelligence. I think that is going to be a huge game changer when it comes to dealing with clients, when it comes to communicating with clients, particularly when it comes to contract reviews, for example. Artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in making sure that these things are done in record time and are efficient, and leaving the more complicated issues and the more dicey issues to the lawyer to focus on. So that is something that we need to keep an eye on. And that's something that if we don't jump on the bandwagon, it's going anyway. So it's up to us. There's also blockchain. Blockchain is another method of churning out standard contracts, which encourages security. There's also data. There's data everywhere. There's huge data, in fact. And it's one of those things that sits a bit uncomfortably if you don't have a handle on what's going on. So data analytics is going to be huge in terms of the trends, in terms of how it's going to impact client responsiveness, client service delivery. So that's something that I think will be huge as well. And of course, the other areas that now the business community are very keen on. So it's going to be an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to it. And we definitely are not going to be left out.
Not at all. That's all. So you mentioned how the firm's practice areas particularly evolved after COVID. Now, COVID disrupted the whole world, and the legal profession wasn't left out. How did the firm, in its own way, adapt? And what lessons did you take away from such an unexpected experience?
That was an interesting time, was it not? I think everybody remembers when COVID hit. But I think for me, the period of COVID was a game changer for us. We became very much in tune with technology and the powers of technology and what it can do for our practice. So what did we do? Okay, we realized that a lot of our clients world over were working from home. So we started looking at working from home. At some point, we were shut down. Ghana was shut down. So we all had to go home. So we, immersed ourselves in remote working, which was quite interesting because sadly we didn't have that human warmth or speaking in the corridor over coffee. We had to see each other on screens. So that was how we adapted. But one interesting thing that we introduced at that time was to ensure that we had team huddles every morning and every evening. Now, that was something that I suggested because I wanted to make sure that over and above what was happening, we were also looking after ourselves, our mental health, because sometimes people live on their own and they thrive on coming into work, to the camaraderie and the rest of it. So we used to have meetings, check in 9 a.m. and check in 4 p.m. to make sure we're all right. And wherever you are, you just switch on, we see your face and that's fine. And we also introduced coffee breaks, virtual coffee breaks. Are you ready for a coffee? You email each other. We sit there, everybody with their cup of tea or whatever. Now, it sounded like, a lighthearted thing, but I think it was absolutely critical. Very importantly, from the client's viewpoint, we also honed our skills in communicating with the clients based on technology, engaging with the clients a lot more actually than we were doing before. We churned out a lot of publications, be it articles, videos, talking about how to do this, how to do X. So we felt that we bonded with our clients over that period. We came out adjusted a lot more. We bonded as a team and we improved upon our technology as well. One lesson I have learned, and I think the team learned as well, is the ability to adapt to whatever is thrown at you, the ability to be flexible and to adjust as you go along because, things happen. And COVID showed us that. And I think that, but as a team, we derived a lot of positivity. It also diversified our client offerings because, of course, there's a lot of conversations. Our clients wanted support and redundancy, working from home policies. We discovered a lot about ourselves as a team as well. So it was a difficult time, but I would say that there are positive takeaways from that.
You've had a long career, a very long one. And I want to know, are there any lessons that you learned about your career about the profession that you wish you had known earlier?
You're just churning out the great questions, I knew. Okay. If I knew, I would tell my younger self not to worry too much. I would say, embrace your vulnerability. You don't have to be right all the time. You don't have to silence your inner voice about your opinion and be influenced by external opinions. Nobody's better than you. Now, it's difficult to believe that then when you're surrounded with lawyers who are shouting the loudest. But I would say that embrace vulnerability because it makes you a better person. You learn from your mistakes, you move on. I would also say that take more opportunities. Don't sell yourself short. Don't say this is not legal work, so I'm not going to do it. Don't say, why do they want me to come to this fundraiser, which has got nothing to do with law or anything of the sort? How will I get opportunities there? I will embrace opportunities as they come up. Day in, day out, I will not stop. I'll be proactive, more proactive than I've been. I will create opportunities for myself. I'll volunteer more. I will read more, learn more, be curious. I will meet people without hesitation and keep an open mind as to whether I'm going to get assistance there or not. And I will also surround myself with positive people more and be more willing to discard negative friends. I think that's sometimes what we suffer from. We're too polite, we're too entertaining. And I think in this journey, if you're going to make it all the way, you've got to surround yourself with positive people and people who champion your cause.
It's very enlightening because I think a lot of what you struggle with is a lot of what I personally struggle with. And it's good to hear that it gets better and I can look back and say, okay, things did end up as I hoped.
It certainly gets better, and give yourself a pat on the back, Tracy, because you're doing exceptionally well. Trust me.
So the legal profession is evolving. It's not only technology. There are so many new practice areas that are coming up. And in a lot of ways, BMP is spearheading. How do you continue to keep being adaptable? How do you do that?
I'd say continuous learning. Not just for somebody who's up and coming, it's just continuous learning. I think I get excited at the prospects of learning something new. Maybe I'm a geek. But I thrive on that. Picking up a magazine and reading about something completely different, how AI is impacting on insurance, how it's impacting on health. I'm fascinated when I read something new and I want to learn more. So you need to have that spirit of continuous growth and development to be able to sustain the various challenges or indeed grasp the opportunities that are coming your way. I would say that it's important that you remain focused and not getting distracted by everything that's happening around you, but zoning in on the things you are interested in and learning about it. Carve out a niche for yourself. As you said, there's a lot going on. What really gives you that drive? And if you're really interested in something, the passion meets you up as well. You get passionate about it, you learn more, you grow more. It becomes natural, and then people give you the opportunities to actually expand on that. So definitely there's a lot going on, but don't get distracted. It's always good to be a generalized good lawyer, but dig deep and find out what you're interested in, and jump on that and become the go-to person. And that has nothing to do with your level of call or your years of experience. What you know about carbon credits is not what I would know about it. So this actually, your generation is fantastic because you really have so much that you can get involved in. And it doesn't necessarily have to be always the traditional law. The traditional law is the foundation, but there's a lot happening. And once you are prepared, then you have the situation of, preparation meets opportunity. If you're not prepared, it'll pass you by. But if you're prepared and somebody walks in here and they're interested in a particular field, you're the first person that will be mentioned, regardless of your level of seniority. And that's the beauty of the world we live in. So stay informed, stay focused, and ensure that you're honing expertise.
Very insightful. So I work with you, so I get to see you come in and go out, and you are usually one of the last people to leave the office. Now, I'm only a daughter. I have no other obligations apart from my family ones. And sometimes I feel like I can barely keep it together. But not only are you a founder, you've also mentioned that you're a wife and you're a mother of 3 kids. I can't imagine having kids right now. But how do you balance it all?
I'm still balancing. I'm still balancing. You never arrive. I think, okay, so the starting point is I take each day as it comes. I realize that there's a lot of unscripted occurrences. Life is unpredictable. How do I at least get it together? I would say that I plan a lot. I plan ahead. I make sure that I know exactly what my diary looks like in my head. And I make sure that if things are happening, I have figured out eventualities and the pros and cons and how I'm going to juggle. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I communicate a lot with my family. If I'm going to have a particularly busy couple of weeks ahead, I give them the heads up that I'm going to be quite busy in this window. And that will make them more empathetic when they hardly have your attention or they hardly see you because they know what's coming. I mean, my daughter can tell you that, yeah, mom has to travel here because she's doing this presentation, and that prepares them. So they don't feel so far removed and detached from you. They feel like they are part of your journey, right? So that's how they feel because they know exactly what's happening. I also make sure that I prioritize quality family time over quantity. The reality is I'll not be around all the time. I'm not normally around. But when I'm around, it's got to be quality. We've got to create special memories. We've got to create traditions as a family, things that the children can look back to and say, oh, when we were young, we used to do that. And I think that's the importance. And that's what allows me to be who I am at work. Because I know that whenever there's going to be family time, it has to be special. That's the only way. And I would say another critical point that sometimes leaders we struggle with is delegating. I have learned to delegate. I have learned to create talented lawyers like you, like the others, who I can freely delegate to when I'm walking out of the office with a peace of mind that it will be done. And if it's not done, there's technology to reach out, but it will be invariably because I have empowered the team, because I have spent and invested time in training and development. It is that environment that you know that there's so many bright sparks who will be able to get it done. And that also allows me to walk away. And I think as a leader, it is absolutely critical that you encourage growth and development around you. Otherwise, you failed. So that for me is how I make things work. And I think another important point, especially for female lawyers or leaders, is that we've got to learn to say no.
Hard.
Many a time, on a regular, I'm invited to speaking engagements, this conference, that conference. If I look at the schedule and I see that for the last couple of weeks I've been unavailable, I'm happy to say no. No in a nice way, but no. Because at the end of the day, I've got various hats on and I need to make sure that I'm keeping my family together as well. So not sort of giving my 100% to everybody else and then at home everybody's upset. That doesn't make me a well-grounded individual, and that doesn't make me a better version of myself. So that's how I juggle.
That's very interesting. So you've mentioned that community has been a great motivator. Giving back is one of the reasons why you actually started the firm. What role has the firm played in contributing to the local community or the broader legal industry?
So, yes, I mean, for me, I would say right off the bat that if I was only a lawyer and there wasn't an element of giving back, I would never be happy. maybe it's my upbringing, but I always envisaged that being a critical aspect of giving back because, yes, we are thankful that we've gained recognition for excellent legal services and all the other trimmings that come with it. But what is the point of doing all this if you're not impacting on others? So very quickly, when we started, once we were settled as BMP, we started a number of projects. We engaged in fundraiser activities. One that's comes to mind, which I hold very close to my heart, is organizing a skating competition among street kids. That was absolutely amazing. It gave them that exposure to what we do as lawyers, and we were able to honor them with awards and provide big Christmas party. So these are the sort of projects that I'm excited about because you see the instant impact on how you make people feel. So that is something that we'll continue to do, organize fundraisers like the breast cancer fundraiser. We also, obviously the BPA Community First podcast, it's a brilliant idea. And the more we do it, the more I realize it was the best thing we ever did because it allows people in our community to access advice from lawyers without worrying about the bill. Because that's the reality. A lot of people don't go to law firms because they think that is expensive. Now, if you sit there and you get somebody and a guest expert to talk about critical issues to the community, then you're doing that community service and you get that direct fulfillment from it. We also do a lot of educational programs. We organize legal clinics for law students. We provide funding for and awards for mooting competitions. We collaborate with external agencies like WillDAF to talk about domestic violence. We do pro bono work, especially when it comes to areas like family law, immigration, those sort of issues that are very dear and critical to humanity. We focus on that, we pick cases, we run with it. And also we provide internships. And we are constantly engaged with the community. I mean, that's for me very fulfilling. That's empowering and very empowering for the team as well in terms of those who volunteer to get involved.
10 years of BMP, my personal experience on your impact to the legal industry is the student clinics. For me, I'm a first generation lawyer, so I didn't have anyone telling me, oh, this is the path. Have you thought about this? Maybe get your grades up a bit, do a little bit more extracurriculars. And since working here, I've seen how our firm goes out to different faculties. We talk to the law students and we tell them about the importance of like actually knowing what you're doing, because sometimes having a mentor, having someone tell you what you need to expect going forward actually cuts down a lot of the mistakes and a lot of the confusion. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also an excellent aspect of BMP's way of giving back to society.
I couldn't agree more. And by the way, I'm also a first generation lawyer, so you're in good company. Yes, go on.
So I know you're extremely proud of BMP. It's your baby. But when you reflect of 10 years of this journey, and I can't imagine how difficult it's been, what do you hope to be the lasting legacy of BMP Associates?
Firstly, I'll say legal excellence. I would say creating an incredible team of talented lawyers, both past and present. I would also say the recognition that we have gained from both clients and peers alike in terms of the work that we do. I would say showcasing, particularly to young female lawyers, that it can be done, that you can be good at what you do. So I'll say that is amazing. And I'll also say, very importantly, that there is a legacy of thought leadership, because very early on in this journey, we decided as a firm to churn out a lot of knowledge, a lot of publications, a lot of snippets of information for free to the community. Some people might call it a labor of love, but we've set the bar for thought leadership, and that encourages healthy competition amongst the legal industry, and it encourages quality products for the community that benefits the most. So in a nutshell, I would say that the legacy of excellence at what we do, impacting society, and making sure that we are showcasing and paving the way for young lawyers, especially young female lawyers, to come through to say that you can be a lawyer, you can be good at what you do, and you can also give back to society?
No, fortunately, that's my last question. But I would like to say that this has been a very enlightening conversation. I think I've come away with a true understanding of what I need to do in order to get a little bit more comfortable with myself as my career progresses. I think a lot of us underestimate what mentality and how it can affect you. And I think what you said about keeping positive people around you is something we take for granted. Sometimes it's good to have people who can see the excellence in you when you are not seeing it yourself. So it's been an extremely educative episode, and I'm sure our viewers have loved every minute because I have. So
Thank you
thank you
very
for
much.
listening. Thank you for coming. This has been BPA's Community First podcast. My name is Tracy. I'm a legal associate at BMP, and I've been interviewing our founder and managing partner, Mrs. Adelaide Benneh Prempeh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy.